I am finally doing the mid-year book freakout tag, and to summarize, I think it's going to be a pretty quick video because there's some questions I just don't have an answer for. So I only read 26 books so far, which isn't great. But aside from that, I wouldn't mind that number if I just really loved everything I read, but it's not really the case. So let's get to the questions. Also, I have a new setup. How do you like it? I'm not sure if I will record here more often, but I had a room makeover. It's not done yet, but there's a bookshelf right here, and the bookshelf over there also looks a little bit different. I don't think I will show you because it will probably mess up the whole shot, but the first question is, best book you've read so far in 2022? I only have 2 books that I gave 5 stars to this year. No 4.5 stars, so only those 2. First would be Sitting Pretty by Rebecca Tausing. I listened to the audiobook on script and the author actually reads it, narrates it. The full title is Sitting Pretty, The View from My Ordinary Resilient Disabled Body, and it's a memoir in essays, so each essay is about a different topic, and I really enjoyed that format. I thought it was a very good kind of introductory book about disability, and I do think I learned a lot from it, so I would definitely recommend it. There are some things that really kind of challenged me, like intellectually, and challenged how I kind of view disability. Yeah, I think everyone should read this book genuinely. The second book would be A Country Doctor's Notebook by Mikhail Bulgakov. And this is a book that's kind of semi-autobiographical because Bulgakov himself studied medicine and practiced medicine for a few years. And this book starts off with a very young doctor who just graduated from university, and he was sent to this countryside to, you know, be a doctor there. And it's so fascinating. Each kind of chapter is about a different case, kind of like House MD, Dr. House style. I really love that, and it was so interesting and funny because he just graduated from university. Most of the things that he kind of encountered in the countryside, like the patients, he even has to do surgeries. He doesn't have the experience, truth to be told. A lot of the surgeries, he either just read about them in textbooks or saw that surgery performed once. And it feels like that's not enough to be able to actually perform such surgery himself. But it was really sometimes funny, sometimes heart-wrenching, but yeah. I really enjoyed the main character. He really wanted to keep an appearance that he is really qualified to be here, and he's very calm and collected, but we read this we read those pages and pages of inside monologue whenever a new patient comes in, a new case where he isn't that familiar with procedures, and his inside monologue is just filled with anxiety and him being I don't know what to do. For example, has to perform surgery and he has no idea how to do it. He's so stressed out, but he wants to keep appearances. He has to show the staff that he works with that he's competent. So he tells them, okay, I'm going to, you know, have a cigarette break, and you prepare the patient for surgery, and coolly walks off. And actually he just runs into his room to open the textbook and read very quickly about this procedure. And his thoughts are just filled with so much anxiety, and him being I can't do it, how am I supposed to do it? And he then goes back to the surgery room and it's just okay, let's do this. And it's just this contrast of how he acts around people, and his inside monologue is just hilarious. So really loved it, gave it 5 stars. Second question is, best sequel you've read so far in 2022? The only sequels I read would be The Lost Future of Paper Harrow by NATASHA PULLEY, and that's definitely not the best sequel I've read this year. This book will appear in a different question. And another one would be Death on the Nile by Agatha Christie. I guess it's a sequel because it's in the Hercule Poirot series. Really enjoyed it, gave it 4 stars. Yeah, it's a perfect summer book because it's sent on the River Nile on this very fancy boat, and you know, murder ensues. Yeah, it's fun. Next question is, new release you haven't read yet but want to. I have a few books. I really want to read Either Or by Elif Batuman, which is a sequel to The Idiot, which is like one of my favorite books of all time. I actually was the OG and I read it before it like became like super popular, probably because of TikTok. I think it started this like hype, I think on TikTok like last year maybe. Yeah, I really would like to read Sea of Tranquility by Emily St. John Mandel. I do think this this book leans more kind of science fiction, like what is that book? Just like Station 11 did. I mean that was like a little bit more post-apocalyptic, but yeah, it's something I would really like to get to. I wanted to read The Half-Life of Valerie K by NATASHA PULLEY, but after I read the sequel to The Watchmaker of Filiga Street, I was just so disappointed with that book. Oh my god, I haven't talked about it yet. Okay, I can just tell you I was disappointed. So I'm just a little bit wary about The Half-Life of Valerie K. And another book, which might be a surprise to some people, but I would like to read Book Lovers by Emily Henry. So many people like rave about this book, and like I like to sometimes dabble in contemporary romance every now and then, so I really would like to read this book this year. Next question would be most anticipated release for the second half of the year. I couldn't really find anything except for Undoctored, the story of a medic who ran out of patience by Adam Kay. As you can tell, I just love me some fiction or non-fiction focusing on medicine, doctors, stuff like that. Yeah, I read the two other memoir-like books by Adam Kay and I really enjoyed both of them. But here's the thing, this book is supposed to come out in September, but there's no like cover or any, there are no details. So I only found this on Goodreads that it's supposed to expected date is September 2022, but I just don't think it's gonna happen because there's no like promotion going on. There's no details and nothing. So I don't think it's going to be released this year. Definitely not in September. But yeah, we'll see. If it is released this year, I would like to read it. Biggest disappointment is The Last Future of Paper Harrow by NATASHA PULLEY. In my Goodreads review, I think I said, the moment authors will realize that not every fantasy book needs a sequel, nature will start healing. And so true. No lies detected. Yeah, I wish this book didn't exist. This book kind of ruined the series for me. I wish the first book was just a standalone. There was no point to this book. I don't think NATASHA PULLEY was actually planning writing a sequel to The Watchmaker of Filigree Street, maybe because it was, I don't want to say popular, but like I feel like it is her most popular book. So she was like, okay, let's get some money. I'm sorry, but like there was no point. Like when it comes to like character development, it felt like the characters just like took a step back. Like I didn't care about anything that was happening in this book. The only character I cared about, I've heard all of these books and I'm not putting them up. Okay, so here you have A Country Doctor's Notebook. And here we have The Last Future of Paper Harrow. The only character I cared about was Miss Paper Harrow, but I can't even talk about her because telling you who she is would already be a spoiler, I think. So yeah, I ended up giving it 2 stars because like the writing style was still good. Yeah, I just didn't care about the story at all. Okay, next we have biggest surprise. I couldn't really find a book that would fit into this question, so we're kind of following along from previous question, and I'm not going to talk about the book that was like a positive surprise, but a very negative surprise. So we have The Day of the Triffids by John Wyndham. John Wyndham. I feel like you don't pronounce the H, I don't know. I talked about this book excessively in my previous reading vlog, like half of that reading vlog is me talking about this book and me ranting about this book, really. Oh, this book made me angry. I thought I was going to give it 1 star. So this book is kind of like post-apocalyptic book about this guy who wakes up in a hospital. He had a surgery on his eyes a few days before, so he had bandages over his eyes. And the previous day there was a meteor shower, and every person that watched that meteor shower the next day was blind. Because he had bandages over his eyes, he didn't see it, so he didn't lose his sight. So this book is about him navigating the new world where like 95% of the population is blind. I talked so much about this book in my previous reading vlog that I just blazed for this synopsis. Okay, to summarize, very misogynistic, very ableist. The way he describes blindness is just horrifying. I did have some conflicted feelings about whether this was the intention of the author or not, and whether I can criticize that if it wasn't. But yeah, you can head over to that reading blog if you want to hear more thoughts on this book. I ended up giving it 2 stars because there was like one thing that I thought was a pretty interesting idea, so a very great surprise indeed. Then we have favorite new author. I unfortunately don't really have a new author. Newest fictional crush, I wish I had an answer, I don't. Newest favorite character would be... oh, I didn't bring it. Okay, great. Would be Cutie. Yeah, Cutie from If I Had Your Face. I also talked about it in my previous reading vlog. I quite enjoyed this book. I gave it 4 stars. And one of the characters is a salon girl who had a lot of plastic surgery, and I really enjoyed reading about her because she wasn't written in a very stereotypical way. She was the most interesting character out of all of the characters. There are 4 main characters. She had a lot of depth to her, and yeah, it was just very interesting to see kind of that side of modern Korean society through her eyes, you know, if that makes sense. Then we have book that made you cry. I don't think any book made me cry this year. Then we have a book that made you happy. Definitely Country Doctor's Notebook, like I said in the beginning, but also I read a manga called Skip and Loafer, Volume 1 by Misaki Takamatsu. It's about this kind of like a young adult manga, so I thought I wouldn't like it because it's a girl who is in high school, who moves from the countryside. She's very studious, she's like at the top of her class, but she transferred to a school in Tokyo and things are very different there and she has to adapt. And I thought this would be like a romantic comedy, but I feel like, I mean, I read the first 2 volumes and it definitely leans more on the comedy side, especially like I thought it would lean more on the romance because of the cover of the first volume. It's like this girl and this guy. But yeah, at least the first 2 volumes don't at all. It's very kind of slice of life kind of manga. Very... if I were to choose like 3 words that describe this manga, it would be wholesome, charming, and refreshing. Because I actually read quite a lot of manga, especially like back in the day, and I feel like this is a very refreshing take on this kind of story. Yeah, there was a lot of times where I thought I knew where this story was going, and it kind of surprised me in a very positive way. And yeah, just so lovely and funny. And yeah, I would definitely recommend it. I gave it 4 stars. Then we have the most beautiful book you've bought so far this year or received. I received a book. Wait, I'm not sure if everyone will like the cover, but I just really like the colors, and yeah, this is it. It's called Sweet Bean Paste by Dorian Sukagawa. My friend Erin bought it for me for my birthday in June. I really like the colors. Let me show you. This is how it looks. It looks so, I don't know, peaceful. Like I just look at it and feel peace inside of me. I feel like it's going to be very charming. I actually don't know much about the story, but yeah, I hope you like it too. It's very pretty. Is it the last question? Yes, the last question is, what books do you need to read by the end of the year? So first of all, I'm not doing very well when it comes to my the classics. So I made a video about 10 classics I wanted to read in 2022, and it's the challenge or whatever, that list is not going so well. I only read 2 things and they were both very short books, and I have a lot of long books on that list. I will link that video in the description and in the cards so we can watch it. I wanted to like mention maybe 2 or 3 books that are at the top of my list, but then I realized I still want to read every single book on the CBR, so just watch that video if you want to know what else I would like to read this year. But also I would like to read Disability Visibility, edited by Alice Wong, because I just really wanted to read more fiction and non-fiction about disability this year, and I find it a lot easier to find non-fiction on this topic rather than fiction. If you have any recommendations, I would really appreciate it. So we have that, and another book would be The Haunting of Hill House by Shirley Jackson. I would really like to read this around Halloween time. I feel like it would be fun. And I think that's it. I mean, there's a lot of books I would like to read by the end of the year. There's nothing really that I'm like, I need to finish this by the end of the year, except for the classics on my list. So yeah, that's everything. How do you feel about my new setup? It is dark in here, so sorry, the lighting is probably not the best. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video, and I see you next one. Bye!